Hello and welcome to our Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. I'm going to be very honest with you. We really haven't got shit to talk about, but we're going to talk anyway because that's just what we do. It's been a while since we've jumped on. I know that Mr. Pirate himself. Oh, I can hear myself feedback. Oh, sorry. Yes, I know Mr. Pirate himself has been on and done a few pods with Simon and also our friend from the Americas. I'm not allowed to say that yet. Canada's in America. Yeah, it's fine. Mr. Jeff Holland. If you haven't listened to those already, please go listen to those because they are very, very good. Anyway, today, talking about nothing and Arsenal is going to be the man who's always here, the button monkey himself, Danny. Danny, it's been a fucking while since you've spoken to me. Why don't you like me anymore? Why don't you love me?
Because you're irritable. Because you work ruining people's days at work. So when you come home, you're an emotional wreck and you shout at me and you call me Daniel, like my mother when I'm naughty. Scares me, quite frankly. You're right, though.
But you are a naughty boy, though.
I am. I disgusted you today when I told you for dinner. I had a tin of tomato soup and then I had a tin of vegetable soup. And the vegetable soup used by date was May 2020.
Because Danny can't read, clearly. Or
I just don't care.
You've just forgotten. I mean, if you've got iron bowels, then shit, so be it. No pun intended, obviously.
No, I don't. They're made of tissue paper and lies.
And tears, sometimes.
Tell you what, they are tears. I had pizza last night. I very rarely have pizza because it doesn't tend to agree with me. And it was the Domino are doing a new one that was... it's like two very thin pizzas, and in between that, it's herb and cheese sauce. Now, it's not cheese like you would think, like you get on the top of pizza. No, it's like melted dairy. It made me feel quite sick. So Pizza Hut, no Domino, made me feel ill.
I have no words. Anyway, let's move on. Also joining us today to talk about Arsenal and nothing, basically, is Nick. Hello, Nicolas. How are you?
Yeah, doing good, Karl. How you doing, mate?
Surviving, not been pinged so far, so it can't be all bad.
Yeah, just don't install the app. I can't ping you.
Unfortunately, I have to because of my work. So, but as always, I follow the government's guidance. Well, it's not always good guidance, but fuck it, we follow it anyway. Anyways,
not the government, they don't follow any of their own guidance just to be safe.
Exactly. Fuck Boris. Anyway,
that's our glorious leader. How dare you?
Maybe yours. Let's talk about something Arsenal, at least. Anyway,
we've had a question,
Nick. Oh, have we? Oh,
yeah.
Hello, everyone that's joined us. It's nice to see us. Nice to see you. It is good to be back. We are obviously going to be back as soon as this season starts again. There is not a lot to talk about, I guess, because we haven't really signed any one of note, but we're going to talk about the signings that we have made and also the potential ones coming in. Danny, I'll start with you. And we're going to talk about the pre-season friendlies that we played as well, because obviously we couldn't go to America for the simple fact because of obviously the pandemic. And I think we had a few COVID cases. To be honest, I personally think it's a good thing that we're not going to America just because, to the best of my knowledge, America was on the red list. And if we had gone to America, we'd have to isolate for 10 days, which nobody really wants to do that, do we? Like this, be honest, but we've had two friendlies. We've played Watford and we've also played Millwall. We played it at the training ground. Danny, did you watch any of those games? Because I found it quite, I don't know, I quite enjoyed the games at the training ground.
Well, they were shown after the game finished, so everybody knew the score. I mean, the actual live games against Hibs and Rangers were bad enough. So badly done. Yeah. We could have done a better job of not only filming it but commentating on it. But the other ones, it's 4 o'clock and I was thinking, I'm going to go and watch the game. And I go onto Twitter and I find out the game isn't being shown until after the game. So they've match of the dayed it without much skill or talent. And No, so I've seen the goals. There was not a single site that went around and had all of the starting lineup, all the subs, the goal scorers, and the times they scored in. So I've had to go and do that myself. So I've got that for all 4 games that we played. But trying to find it, and I looked at the goals. Some of the goals are pretty decent, especially against Watford. I think there was. I say I'm thinking about the goals. I can tell you who exactly it was. Chambers won after an Aubameyang overhead kick. No, it wasn't it. Was it?
No, that was
Millwall.
Millwall game.
Yeah. So there was 2 really good goals. I think it was Eddie Nketiah and Aziz. Aziz is the one I was thinking from, running down the right-hand side, cuts in, wallops it top left-hand corner. So I was impressed with the goals, but I've also been quite happy to see the likes of, I'm a Haaland fan, the likes of, who were the Nelson playing. He's played quite a few games, started a few and played, come on as sub. And so has Maitland-Niles. The 2, I want both of those blokes to stay. And so it's been nice seeing them get games. But as a whole, the whole pre-season friendlies are meaningless anyway. It's just a warm-up to try and get fit, isn't it?
See, do you think, so I've got to you, Mickey, do you think that they are pointless? For me, yes, the point of a pre-season game is to get match fitness and to, get to peak fitness. I mean, even with pre-season games, you don't really get to peak fitness till approximately, I would say, November, until you're actually really up there. But surely, if you lost all your pre-season games, that could sort of dent your confidence. Whereas if you won all your pre-season games, that could sort of boost your confidence. I mean, I'm saying this, and I'm sure that the season that Liverpool won the league, they lost nearly all of their pre-season friendlies and went on to win the league, obviously the pandemic. But do you think that if Arsenal had lost every single one of their pre-season games, do you think that would have been sort of a morale sort of downheartener?
That depends. What you could look at it either way. Spirits will be high if you win every game, but then if you've played a bunch of terrible sides and you've smashed them 5 or 6-0, then you're not actually going to be anywhere near ready to play, decent opposition in the Premiership, are you? And I think Danny said this a while ago. I think the year we won we did the Invincibles, I think our pre-season was absolutely terrible as well. So it depends how you look at it. I mean, what was it? The Rangers game, we made a few, mistakes in that, and that's best if they're going to do that in a pre-season friendly rather than, in the first game of the season. Because, I mean, I remember after the Rangers game, I mean, Twitter had a meltdown for the first pre-season, of pre-season. Does that make sense? But yeah.
No, I understand you, and I totally get that. But for me, I think if you won all your pre-season games, that kind of Arsenal fan base is toxic at the best of times. It makes no difference anyway. But I feel like if you win the pre-season games, then you go into sort of the season on a bit of a high, and not almost you feel invincible, but you feel like, okay, we've done something, because winning obviously makes people happy. If you lose, no matter what, you're going to be a little bit pissed off. And obviously, what season was it done? Was it the season that we got Mesut Ozil when we lost? Did we draw with Aston Villa or lose to Aston Villa at home, and then we ended up going to get Mesut Ozil? Was that the season when the fan base had an absolute meltdown?
Well, if you tell me the season, what season did we sign Ozil, and I can go and tell you exactly who we played.
It was 13.
I want to say 12-13.
13-14 or 12-13.
I think it might be 13-14 or 12.
Yeah, I remember I didn't go to that game, but I remember I went to the Emirates Cup before that.
Oh,
And I think we lost that as well. And yeah, all the fans were going mental on the way out and shouting and swearing.
I remember we lost. I'm sure we lost to Aston Villa.
I think we lost 3-2. I think we had like 2 penalties, a sending off and stuff like that. But I think that's let me just get this in quickly before I forget, because I always forget stuff. I think also when we haven't signed anybody, as well as the not doing well in the pre-season games, that's what gets people upset as well.
We lost 3-1, so you were close. We lost 3-1 at home to Villa, and that pre-season we beat the Indonesian Dream Team 7-0. Not much of a dream. Beat Vietnam 7-1. I don't remember any of this. Nagoya Grampus 8 3-1. Ura Weddantoar I think they're a team from Norwich, who are Red Diamonds, 2-1. Napoli 2-2. Then we lost to Galatasaray 2-1 and beat Man City 3-1. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the Galatasaray game was the Emirates Cup. That's when Drogba came on and scored one and set one up in the last 10 minutes.
I just found a bit of onion from that tomatoes, that vegetable soup, and I hate onion. It was stuck in my teeth. I want my mum.
Bloody hell. But yeah, so I think Nicky's got an absolute point there, that the fact that we haven't signed, I mean, we have made 2 signings, haven't we? We signed, was it Lokonga?
We have got Albert Sambi Lokonga from Anderlecht for 15.75 million with a couple of add-ons, and we've got Nuno Tavares, I think it says, not Tavares, from Benfica for 7.2 million. But he's got add-ons that if we qualify for the Champions League, it's more money. If he gets a cap for Portugal, it's more it's more money. And I think there's a couple of other performance-related ones as well. So basically, it's 7.2 million and not a penny more.
I think you're right there. I mean, I don't think they're not household signings, obviously, but in this day and age, you can make a signing that's not household and they can come in and make a brilliant impact. I think the signing of the left back is very, very good because we know that Kieran Tierney has, major injury problems. So obviously he's not going to want to play, or he can't play every single game this season, even though we're going to have less games to play because we're literally only going to have the cup games and the league games. So I think...
Carl, you said... I was waiting. Every time you breathe, I think you've stopped. Carry on. Let me know when you finish. I've got a question.
Oh, yes, silly sausage. So I think Kieran Tierney having competition for his place is very, very good. We obviously still have what's his name again? Cedric Kolasinac. Or Syed Kolasinac. And hopefully he can be moved on because we don't really need 3 left backs in the league. Definitely we don't need that because we don't have the games to play. So hopefully we can move him on, or he can do something. The other day he was playing at left centre back, I think it was. So that may be a new position for him. But for me, although we have a load of people to bring in, we still got a load of people that we need to get rid of. Syed Kolasinac is definitely one of them. He's going to become just surplus the requirement. So we need to obviously get rid of him. I know we're trying to get rid of Alex Runnison as well. So that's another one. Lucas Torreira, we was talking in our group the other day and I was saying I haven't seen him in pre-season at all. So obviously he's been given some extended time off because you would have thought by now he would have been back because he hasn't had... Did he play for Uruguay in the Copa America?
I think he did.
But they didn't get to the latter stages. So you would have thought by now he would have been back. So, which is
I think he's
quite
got the
weird. I mean, he's obviously been given time off, and I was speaking to Josh, and Josh was saying he sent me a link to his Instagram, and he's doing some gym work in a underground dungeon somewhere. So obviously, that's one of those things that you put out to clubs to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm still fit. If you want to sign me, here I am." Those sort of videos. Granit Xhaka technically is still our player, and he's not been back to Arsenal yet. And he'll probably be back should be due back probably this week or next week if he was still playing, because Leno is back now. So yeah, Granit Xhaka, what did they go to the quarters, didn't they? So yeah, he should be back next week more than likely. So there's still these players that we need to get rid of. But Danny, what was your question?
Lucas Torreira was in the squad to go to the Copa America with Uruguay, and he's played 5 games in 2021. So I'm not sure how many of those games were in that, but he definitely went with them. So he would be allowed to have a longer time. Now, you're saying Kieran Tierney's had injury prone. He's had 6 times out with Arsenal. First one, shoulder injury, 19 games. Then a groin injury. That's a different injury. And he was out for 2 games. A virus infection. That's a different injury. A knock, doesn't say what it is. Knee injury, that's a different injury. And then a calf problem. So does that mean that he is, because he had problems when he was at Celtic, hip injury, groin, hip, scoliosis, hip injury, knock, calf injury, ruptured ankle ligaments. It seems like he's had nearly every part of his body injured. So do you think that he's injury prone like that is better, or would it be better for us if it was someone like Jack Wilshere, where it was always his don't eat soup, it's bad for you. Keeps repeating. The point I'm making is it better for us to have a player that has the same injury over and over, or that he's got injuries all around the place? There you go. That's what I was thinking of.
That's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? Because if it's the same injury over and over again, that means that in particular injury is never going to get fixed. If you have a different injury all the time, I don't know, does that mean that he's got brittle bones or brittle muscles? It's a hard one. For me, I think Josh made a point, I think some point last season, Kieran is never going to be a 30 game or 38 game a season guy. He's never going to be the one who literally is in the squad week in, week out, because he's just not built for it. I guess he's just not, his body doesn't do it. And I don't know what he needs to do. Does he need to build more muscle? Does he need to change, I don't know, his regime, his warm-ups, who knows what he needs to do. But for me, it's good that we've got cover for him and someone who can come straight in and replace him. I mean, he's still going to be the number one left back, and I'm sure Arteta's probably told him this, but you know, the moment he does go out, and like I said, we don't have that many, I say this, but unless we go on a long cup run, we don't have that many games. We have, the 38 league games. We start, and I can't believe I'm saying this, in the second round of the League Cup because we're not in Europe, which is really, really weird. And then obviously the FA Cup. So unless you go on long cup runs, and I think personally, he's got to go balls out. I mean, do you think that Arteta, for like the League Cup, he's got to play first team every single round? Because what are we saving our first team for apart from the league?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think Arteta's had a really nice grace period the last, 18 months, nearly 2 years at Arsenal. And we've made so many excuses for him finishing 8th. And it's not just like, the position we finished. Some of his, the game, some of his tactics. And we think, what was it, the game last year where we were losing in the Europa League? And it's like, do something, bring a striker on, right? Just go for it. We've got 10 minutes left to go. And he just didn't even change how he was playing. I think he just went out with a complete whimper. So I think if he doesn't start the season well, he might not even see the start of the League Cup. Because if he goes 6 or 7 games and we're still terrible, the fans will be wanting him sacked.
Did you know we finished 8th in the last 2 seasons? I knew we did last season, but I didn't realise we did it back to back.
Yeah.
The lowest Wenger ever finished was 6th. Wow.
Yeah, it's sad how far we've actually fallen, but what can you do? And hopefully he can turn it around. I mean, Danny, do you have... let's talk about the links of the people that we've been linked to. So Ben White is... So we're led to believe through our Twitter experts is almost a done deal. And I think it's probably safe to say that we will get Ben White. There's links of us with Odegaard coming back or James Maddison, which I think that attacking sort of midfielder role is something that we really, really need. Because we just don't have the players at the moment to transition from midfield to sort of the strikers. And I think that's where we fell down a lot last season, where we just didn't have players who would, run on beyond the midfield or run on beyond the strikers. We just didn't have that sort of those sort of players. I mean, would you be inclined to give Joe Willock a try? I mean, you look what he did at Newcastle. He scored 7 goals in 8 games or something like that, and he practically almost single-handedly kept Newcastle up because he was that good. But would you go and give Joe Willock a try, or would you obviously try and bring in bring Odegaard back or a James Maddison?
Right, before you did Ben White first, and then I went and got a tweet, and this will make our Josh happy. Can you see that? This is from The Analyst. I think it's a podcast, and our Josh retweeted it earlier today. And for the boys and girls at home, it's a position of breakdown of where Ben White played for Brighton last season, 3,195 minutes in, I think it's the Premier League. And it says he played in the right side of a back three 66% of the times, right back 10%, defensive midfield 2%, central midfield 18%, and centre back on its own in a double 4%. And so our Josh said that this is the first actual decent breakdown of what Ben White can do for us. So looking at that, he's either going to play a central midfield or play in the right side of a back three, which we don't play. So I've got no idea what Ben White's going to do at the club, but yeah, thank you for joining us. As for the Willock, yeah, you said he scored 7 out of 8 games. That's because one of those games was against us and he couldn't play, so it counts as he scored in 7 Premier League games in a row, and that equals the record of the some bloke called Alan Shearer. Never heard of him. So I mean, if you've equalled that kind of record, and what are we looking for, Karl? We're looking for someone who can set up for midfield, may not have got many assists. He can play on the right. He can play as central midfielder. He can play as an attacking midfielder. He's played, I think, without looking, I think he's played 90 games for Arsenal so far in his career. He's banged in quite a few goals. Actually, I'm going to go and have a look at that because I've just got the thing open here. Where is he? Mr. Willock has played 77 games and got 11 goals for Arsenal. And people are now thinking, oh, but they'll be in the Europa League or in the League Cup. Doesn't matter. Goal is a goal. And what we are looking for is someone who can do all that job. Then it might save us some money. We still might need to get somebody in. Like there's a lot of talk at the moment by this bloke whose name I'm going to butcher, a Brazilian at Lyon called Bruno Guimarães. I don't know. And remember at the beginning of the beginning of pre-season, Odegaard was, I'm looking forward to going back to Real Madrid. Went back there with chocolates and flowers for Ancelotti. Oh, I'm going to be part of it all. It's all going to be brilliant. We're all going to be hugs. And now it's, right. I liked my time in England. London's a lovely, lovely place. And it looks like he might want to come back as well. So I don't want Maddison because £75 million for someone who Leicester want to get rid of him for a reason. I think apart from the fact he grows a shit beard. No offense to John, obviously, but keep Willock. We need young players. You've got if this was a game of FIFA, you would get an extra bonus point in your team because he's a Hale End boy playing with all the other Hale End geezers. Same with Maitland-Niles and with Nelson, mixing in with Saka and Smith Rowe and maybe even Eddie to a certain degree. All those, and it's not going to do any harm. He's on about 15, 20 grand a week, 30 grand a week. What's that to Arsenal? Nothing. Don't sell him. Don't loan him. I want him to be part of the club because he can only get better. He's a really good young player. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'd keep him because, I mean, obviously Odegaard, he's already said his goodbyes. And to be honest, does he really want to be here? No, he doesn't. And we've got Willian who doesn't really want to be here. You know, he just stayed at Chelsea if we're there to give him a 3-year deal instead of a 2-year deal. And, you know, I remember, Wenger's always used to say, I don't want to bring in this superstar player, even though the fans are wound up and want us to buy all the big name signings. And he said, I want to give this Fabregas a go. I'm going to play this Patrick Vieira lad who no one's heard of from France. And, that turned out right. If I was Arteta, I'd say, well, I'm going to bring back Joe. Smith Rowe's just signed, his new deal and give him the number 10 shirt. I'll stick with them with a season and say, well, go on in, you two boys, you're fighting for a place. One of you I'll replace next year if you don't step up. So, I'd stick with them two for next year because, being Arsenal lads, their head's in the right place. They want it. They will, for good or bad, they will run through a brick wall for us, and that's what we want.
See, I'm going to have to agree with Nicky there because, surely people like Nelson and Willock must look at Saka, look at Smith Rowe and think, oh, look what you can do. Like, look what, they're almost first team regulars established. So surely Ben team must be thinking, okay, it can be done. So let's literally Let's literally. Sorry, Danny's already done it. Just absolute people, stupid. They should be able to come into the team. I think it's really bad that if we're considering selling him and then buying a player for, I don't know, Maddison's going to cost minimum 70 million, because he's no way going to cost less than that. For me, Arteta's got nothing to lose this season. He's got absolutely nothing to lose this season whatsoever. Sorry, people are just so fucking stupid. Sorry. I've got literally nothing to lose this season. So for me, you've got to try your best and keep him. Because what's Arteta going to do? What is he going to do? He's literally got 38 league games and a couple cup games. That's all he's got. Nothing else. So he has to try and go all out. I mean, people are looking for a top 4 finish. Are we looking for a top 4 finish? Maybe, I don't know. I think that's probably a long way off at the moment. But for me, try and keep the boys. If he can get in there with sort of the Halen boys, he'll be seen as a genius, won't he? He'll be seen as somebody who's achieved a brilliant sort of result from literally being 8th to try and go into the top 4. I don't think this season for me is a big rebuilding project, and it literally it's going to take so much to us to get into the top 4. I mean, if you're thinking spending 50 million on Ben White, and for me, I don't mind spending 50 million on Ben White. Do I think that money could be used elsewhere? Yes. However, if Ben White can do what he did for Brighton in a better team, because we kind of are a better team, he should do well. We've got replacement left back. We'll talk. Rudy Rastos brought up a point about the goalkeepers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do think there is a problem in our midfield, because I do think that last season a lot of chances weren't created for our strikers. I think that was the issue. I think the season before, where Aubameyang was just banging in the goals, I think literally he had this sort of a little bit of more of a service than he had. It all changed also when we brought in other players. I mean, when Odegaard came in, it was brilliant. When Smith Rowe came in, it sort of changed because we was providing a little bit more. Aubameyang, we'll talk about him as later, needs to definitely improve. But for me, you've got to keep Willock, and you've got to keep... you just have to keep him. For me, I think give him a chance. Give him a chance. If by Christmas he's not performing, then yeah, by all means, give him out. Hand him out and say to loan and say, look, we've tried, we've given you a run in the team. You haven't progressed as we want. Shit. Now, what more can we do, unfortunately? But I'm kind of the same as you two guys. I genuinely think that we should keep Willock, and we should keep all the Hurlem boys, just because you want to see them succeed. You know, we want to see what Jack Wilshere should have been. I mean, we've all got like a little space in our half for Jack Wilshere, haven't we? Unfortunately, he just didn't make it because, you know, injuries sort of messed him over. But Willock has shown what he can do. He's gone to Newcastle and he's shown exactly what he can do. And people say, oh, that's his level. Our level is not much higher than that last season. It really wasn't. So if you give him a run of games, then surely, you know, he can do a job for us. So yeah, I'm of the same ilk as you. But Danny and Nick, I'll put it both to you. Can you think of any other player that we've been linked with in midfield? I just want to concentrate on midfield at the moment, that you think is a gettable target. So for me, obviously, James Maddison, if you offered him almost double his wages, because that's what's going to be. You know, you think of Leicester are in Europe. Leicester, at the moment, are they a better team than Arsenal? Yeah, you probably have to say yes. But they finished 5th last season, I want to say? Yeah, 5th. Just outside of Champions League places. is he Leicester better than us? Yes, but James Maddison, if you say to James Maddison, we'll give you, more your wages, you've got a chance to be part of a big rebuilding project. And towards the end of the season, I don't think that he was in the squad, was he, or was he injured? This is when you need Josh here, don't you? Towards the end of last season, he wasn't really getting into the Leicester squad. So, maybe he's out of sorts with Leicester. So, Danny, can you think of anybody that, we're linked with people every single day, but can you think of anyone that we're linked with that you would say, oh, yeah, that's the person I want in our squad?
Not Maddison. Easier to pick the players that I don't want. I don't want Maddison, although I do like him. He's a decent player, but I think that it irks me. There's something about him that I don't really like. Who else is there? There was not much talk about Max Aaron, so I don't know why we've gone cold on him. I thought he'd have been ripe for the picking. And what other ones are there? Goalkeeper-wise, the bloke from Ajax, he seems pretty good, but he comes with baggage and it looks like he might be going to, I think, was it Lyon or someone like that are after him? So I'm not sure about that one. What other players have come up? Because I have trying to be ignoring all of the ones that people are... Because back in the day when Jeff Arsenal was doing it, it was all about... there wasn't so many people going, oh, this is the player we've been linked with. Now every single player is doing it. The classic example is Jeff announcing the Ozil thing before it happened. Back then, it wouldn't be every day you had 100 different people tweeting 100 different ITKs. And that sort of stuff now means that I don't take any notice of who we're linked with. I'll watch what Simon says, Simon Collins of The Standard. I'll listen to the stuff that Tom does at the Gooner Talk. Other than that, I don't really think there's many people that are...
We've been linked with Locatelli from...
there you go. That's a good one. Elliot from You Are My Arsenal, I think he put a thing up saying, how many people have actually heard of Locatelli? And John replied, I watch Italian football and I know nothing about him. All I know that it was... there's another person that we know, Mr. Waffles, who was a guest for... Remember in the olden days when we used to do live shows and special shows? There's Mr. Waffles. So I'm trying to think of any other players. You two should be shouting names at me now, and I'll tell you whether I want them or not. But the gist of it is, I have watched hardly any Arsenal podcasts. I don't read any Arsenal news online. I ignore all of it because, quite frankly, Karl, it's all bullshit.
Of course it is.
Is there any that you've got, Nick, that you've been answering Karl's question? Because I can't think of any more players that we've been linked to because I haven't been taking any notice of it.
From Inter, apparently, we've been linked with him, but...
Who?
Martinez from...
Oh,
Inter.
the striker.
But there's little to... Apparently, it's...
77 million.
Yeah, but they're talking about that Bellerin going the other way, but no, I don't think we'd ever get rid of a player plus... That's not a deal that I can ever see happening. We do need another right back, and Max Aarons is a good shout. And I am so surprised that we haven't had more links with him. Like, really, I'm surprised because I thought that was almost a 25 to 35 million deal. Go and get him, easily gettable sort of person, and there's been nothing on Max Aarons whatsoever. So. It's a bit weird. We've also got Bissouma from Brighton. There's been talks of him, but even that's gone a bit cold lately. There's been no talks of him. Yeah, but there's been no talk of that whatsoever. That's gone really, really quiet. So clearly, there's no talk of him. There's this guy from who plays in Spain who's out of contract. This little Argentinian guy. Can't remember what his name is, but he's on a free, isn't he? Is it Messi? I think it is. Like, he's on a free contract because clearly Barcelona are fucking broke now, so I don't think they can sign him. But
you lot were talking about that in the WhatsApp group last night. I went and watched I think it was Tifo or something like that. They were doing a thing on it, and if he stays on the wages that he's at the moment, with the current wage allowance that Barcelona have, he'll be taking more than 50% of the available club's wages.
But they won't, will he? So what happened
Oh no, it was Ornsteinio on the athletic thing that he was talking about. A really good one on YouTube. You should go and find it. It's 15 minutes. Really interesting.
Yeah, but isn't he signed like a long-term contract and they've halved his wages, but they're going to make him an ambassador for the club. So then he'll get it back when he's this ambassador showing people around like the club when things are back to normal. So
doing the tours on 300 grand a year a week.
But the thing is, that's what it'll do to keep him, which is very, very weird. I mean, he is going to stay at Barcelona. There's no doubt, because let's face it, there's no talk from anybody anywhere about him going to any other club whatsoever. I did say this in the group. The way around Messi's wages is you say to Messi, okay, we'll give you 300-400 grand a week and you get him to keep his image rights. Messi's image rights are worth fucking millions, absolute millions. And you say, you know what? Your image rights are all yours. Every single bit of it is all yours. He'll probably make more money from that than he would his wages, but who knows? I don't think he's going to leave Barca. But anyway, we'll stick to Arsenal. We'll talk about the striker situation. Nicky, at the moment, our strikers are Lacazette, Aubameyang, and I guess you could put maybe Martinelli in that. Do you think going into the season that's good enough? I mean, you know, Lacazette needs to have a better season than he did last season, as well as Aubameyang. Would you be happy with those two being, or those three players being the strikers that take us in to the 21-22 season?
Well, probably not. I think I was in Lacazette going into his last year as well, or did he sign like a 1-year extension they were talking about?
No, he still hasn't signed, so it's his last season at Arsenal.
Yeah, so I can't see us letting a player we paid 50 million quid for just walk away on a free. So I think he'll probably be gone. I mean, Martinelli, I think he's going to step up and have a good season, and that's all down to Aubameyang, really. If he has another season like he did last season, that's pretty much game over in it. So we might have to buy him. And I think, is Eddie off? I mean, everyone seems to be linked with everyone, but no one seems to be leaving. I'm actually surprised, because normally what we do is sell all our good players and buy loads of players on the last 2 days of the transfer window. So it's just weird that we haven't really. I don't know. Have we sold anyone apart from loan players?
No players.
No, the players that have left the club are Trey Coyle, Mark McGuinness, Zach Medley, Aaron Ben, Dibayo, Petu, David Luiz, Levi Lang, Joseph Alowu, Daniel Oyegoki, Luke Plang. Sounds like Minge. Ben Sheaf, Jason Schrar, and Kieran Petri. I think. There you go. So the answer to that is no. You know, I said players that we've linked with you don't want. Zamira's got it. Ramsdale. No. There you go. I've answered your question. Only took me an hour.
They're just trying on because they know Arsenal need players. We got them. I mean, like we were talking about Maddison earlier. He went there from Norwich for 20 million 3 seasons ago. So he's due a new contract, or they want to sell him. Has he done anything in the last 3 seasons to warrant his value going up from 20 million to 75 million? I mean, the answer's no.
He's English. That's the only thing. He's that English premium, unfortunately. Well,
there's English premium, and then there's just being absolutely stupid. I mean, I watched him at Norwich. I mean, he's okay, but he does go missing a lot. And I think that's why Leicester, I mean, usually Leicester sell one big player per summer and then somehow go and buy 3 really good players for a lot cheaper, because even though Leicester are above us in the league, they can still sign players for a lot cheaper than what we can, because they don't have to play, you know, the big club tax, you know, historically. That's why they can buy players so cheap. I mean, I think in the end, I think they eventually signed Kante for less than we offered, but they wanted more money from Arsenal, and they ended up going to Leicester for cheaper. And yeah, Arsenal are a big club, and yeah, we should, in theory, you know, have to pay a bit more than other players, but not, you know, you won't be held to ransom. We'll move on. I think that's why we didn't end up getting Buendia. I mean, they already paid more than he was probably worth. I mean, what are we going to do? Go in and say, yeah, we'll give you 60? That's never going to happen.
I mean, if you think that Jack Grealish is between 80 and maybe 100 million, if he's going to Man City, then there's no way Maddison is worth 70. No, there's just no way that he's worth that. So, unfortunately, it's the Arsenal after you. And like you said, Nick, it's the big club tax. Like, oh, it's Arsenal after you. Yeah, let's add in another 10 mil for it because it's, unfortunately, it's us. And it's just sad, unfortunately. But the thing is, Arsenal have to pay these prices to get the players that they want. So what more can we do? Like you said, even talk about Ramsdale, that 30 million. Unless Leno is leaving, there is no reason for Arsenal to pay 30 million for a backup goalkeeper. Now, for
He's
me,
been double relegated
and conceded over 100 goals in 3 seasons. Yeah, that is
our quality, though.
But that's just ridiculous. But so for me, unless this Leno is looking to leave, which for me, if we're being linked this hard with Ramsdale and keep going back in for him, something for me is a bit fishy because there's no way we would go that hard for a second choice goalkeeper. No way. So something for me is just a bit wrong there. But there's so many different goalkeepers that you can buy that are better than Ramsdale for 30 million. Are we looking to sign him because he's English? Is it because we need more English players? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's we need to hit our quota, which is the only reason I can think of why we're being linked so hard with him. You look at it and you think, really, like Ramsdale, what did the Arsenal scouts? I mean, I wouldn't trust any Arsenal scouting goalkeeper because, Ranison.
Well, so they've just got it all on a Commodore 64 now, haven't they? They don't have scouts. They just enter in, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop. There you go. Oh, this bloke's good.
That's all I say. Like the Ranison. So Arsenal don't have the best history of signing goalkeepers of recent past, but yeah, that for me, that goalkeeper link is just an absolute joke, and I don't understand it. Also, I want to talk about another link.
Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona need to sell. Yes, Barcelona need to sell players as well. And if we are going to sell Bellerin, then there's right back. He definitely is a player that can come in and do a job. But for me, I think we have to start selling players now. We can't just keep buying players without selling them. And there are so many players that we do need to sell. Bellerin is going to be out. I think there's been a lot of talk of him sort of leaving Arsenal, and I think it's probably time for a new challenge. And I think through back channels, he's already said that he wants to find a new sort of challenge, and wherever that is. But even so, Kolasinac needs to go, and obviously Bellerin needs to go. Lucas, we still got him. We still got Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Is he going to be in the squad? What role does he play? What role does he play in the squad? Does he become a squad player? Does he wants to play in midfield? He's had a taste at West Brom of playing in midfield. He doesn't want to go back now to playing backup right back. That's not him. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to play in midfield. Are we going to play him in midfield? Probably not. So then are we looking at to sell him? There's that. Nketiah, is he, if we play him at striker, he's going to be behind Aubameyang and be behind Martinelli and also be behind Lacazette. So, what happens to him? Do we need 3 strikers? Or 4 strikers, sorry.
Didn't we? Look at this from how do you spell Xagon? Zagon? I don't know. He says, I don't know. They could be an alien. With a name like that, probably are an alien. Nanu. I am both an Arsenal and a Sheffield United fan, and trust me, Ramsdale is not worth that level of money. 15 mil at the very most. He's crap.
There
you go. Sums it up.
Danny. Oh, sorry, Nick. Sorry, I come to you, Nick. We was also linked to Tammy Abraham, which I think personally, I think is agent talk. But what do you think of us being linked to Tammy Abraham from Chelsea?
I don't want him. I really don't. He can't. He was given a year when they obviously couldn't sign any players when they got their transfer ban, and he couldn't score. So why would we sign or buy a player from Chelsea? They're selling us a striker who can't score goals. Why would we do that? I know we got Willian for free and Louise, so I don't know what's going to happen, and this is going to be terrible. But yeah, I don't want him. I got nothing against the guy, but you know, to play at Chelsea for as long as he has and have a year as their number one striker and he could hardly score, what makes you think? What makes anyone think he's going to score for us?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I personally think it's just agent talk to try and either get him a new contract at Chelsea or get another club to buy him, because I don't see how Arsenal can be signed, could be linked to him at all. Danny, do you think that is just made up agent talk, or do you actually think that we are linked to Tammy Abraham?
Bergkamp sums it up. 40 million for a lanky Abraham isn't a joke. I tweeted that I'd actually quite like him here, only mainly because he's English, and I like to have. But now that we've got all these new rules, we need as many English players as possible, and that seems to be shifting out some of the players that aren't English as much. We do love a Swede or a German or not an Italian. We don't have Italians here, or someone like that, or a Spaniard. We've loved them over the years, but the way it's going, we need, because of the homegrown rule, and I think they're going to change the homegrown rule again to be even less in coming seasons. And so we need to get some of these players out and get more English players in. And he's played in the Premier League. I think one season he scored 21 goals or something in all competitions. It may well have been 50 games that he played, but I quite like him. I think he does a job. But the main thing that I like about Abraham is that he does something that we don't have at the club at the moment. I think someone actually might have put it here. No, did they? He got. Oh no, Ryan put. He got benched by Giroud. Well, I think he does the job that Giroud used to do for us, because he's big and he's good in the air and he's got big elbows, and that's the only reason we need someone in that kind of position, because the amount of times we cross the ball and Lacazette has not knowingly ever jumped for anything, and Aubameyang's too lazy Aubameyang's heart isn't in it anymore, and we need someone who can give us that other angle. But like Rudy says down here, not for 40 million. Boom, sums it up. And
I agree with Rowe, but sorry, Danny. Yeah, we are gonna, if we sign Abraham from him, we are literally financing.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Haaland for him. Like, because Chelsea will go and sign Haaland, and if Chelsea go and sign him, then
we're buying one of his legs.
So, yeah, I just think that we are linked. Arsenal get linked to some weird and wonderful players sometimes.
We're mugs. If you've got a shit player who had a good season 3 years ago, we'll have him off your hands. But apparently, we gave Willian a 16 million signing on fee. The silence says it all.
I hope we didn't, because I understand for free, but 16 million signing on fees are a lot of money. So I don't know if I believe that. That is a lot to give one player for a signing on fee. So I don't know. But then again, we gave him a 3-year contract, and so nothing surprises me at all about Arsenal, unfortunately, because it's Arsenal.
We don't want any more Chelsea rejects, as Aaron just put in there.
Can I just jump in there, Danny, as well? Because you said he scored however many goals he scored in however many games. I mean, you know, stats can only, you know, you can fiddle them to make players seem better or worse. You've got to think, Arsenal keep finishing 8th. We don't want to finish that. We want to be doing what Chelsea did last year. We want to be winning the Champions League. Do we want to be buying a player off someone who's winning the Champions League, which is where we want to be, because they don't think he's good enough to be there? No, we don't. And that's not like Chelsea don't need the money. If they thought he was good enough, no way would they sell us a player who was decent, would they?
got a point there. If he was any decent, they wouldn't sell London. They wouldn't sell him to a rival if they consider us a rival, I guess. But for me, we have to. The problem is, Nick and Danny, it's hard to attract players when you're not playing in Europe at all.
It was hard to attract them when we were playing in Europe last season.
Yeah, but this is true. Players want to play in the best competitions. They want to play in the Champions League and the Europa, not that silly flipping Europe Cup or whatever, the Conference League. Which, for me, I'm a bit glad that we didn't get into. I'll be very honest with you, because he wants to be playing God knows where in God knows what country and at silly time. So I'm kind of happy that we didn't get in there. Yes, it's a European competition, but even trying to attract a good player and say, look what you could have won. You could have been playing FC Carrier Bag like on a Thursday night and then flying back in the morning and then playing Sunday morning league game. It's silly, but I don't know. I want to move on quickly because we've eaten up a lot of time. Danny, what is the minimum that you expect from Arsenal squad next season?
Avoid relegation. As long as we avoid relegation, then I think that's it. That's the minimum we can expect.
I don't know. Do you not think?
There's disharmony at the club, Karl, and the fans are going to be back in the. If we did 8th without any fans shouting and screaming at them fucking idiots to do their job properly, what are we going to do when now they're all allowed back in?
But do you not think that? Do you remember when Chelsea didn't? Chelsea finished like 10th, and the next season they went on to win the league, because for me they had one game a week, no European football, and they were able to play their best team week in, week out. I mean, yeah, they played over the odds for some players at all, but for me, I think the absolute minimum has to be top 5. I'm not going to say top 4. I'm going to say top 5, because Man City are going to be Man City. Man United are going to be there or thereabouts. I think they've bought quite well. If I'm honest, like Sancho is going to add goals to them. They just bought, who did they buy? They just bought
Varane.
Something about they just bought Varane. He's going to improve their defense. They're not going to be playing De Gea in goal next season, so it's going to be better. So I think you can't discount Manchester United. Chelsea are going to be there as well. If Chelsea get Haaland as well, they're going to be ridiculous. Absolutely. And Liverpool are always going to be there as well. So that's why I think top 5. If we got 5th, I would not be unhappy. But we can't get anything less than 5th, because I think the 4 teams above us, the gap between us and them is very vast. It's a hell of a lot to make up. And I don't think we as a football club are anywhere near there yet. I mean, if you was just right now, Danny, if you was to say, of those 4 clubs, who would you think that are not going to get into the top 4 for us to replace them?
I'm busy trying to point at the Canadian flag and not knowing left from right when it's reversed. Of which teams am I got the choice
Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Man City. Who would you say that wouldn't get into the top 4 for us to get in there?
Isn't that like trying to pick a way to die? It's not going to happen with any of them. I like the answer of Iran. Aaron. How do you say your name phonetically? Aaron? It could be Aaron. St. Totteringham's Day. And David's given up on that, but that'd be something I'd be happy with. Just finish above Spurs, like Jeff Hullen from London said. But there's no way, no money, no nothing that we're finishing above those 4 teams. Man United have gone big on spending, as we know. Man City were already brilliant. They won the league without a striker last season. Liverpool, apparently they're all going to have all their best players. Actually, the answer would be Liverpool now, I think about it. We've already seen that. Who's the bloke with the teeth? What's his name? The Brazilian? Firmino?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that Firmino has moved back and isn't scoring as many goals. Salah was a 2-season wonder the season before they won it and the season they won the title. And Mane isn't the player he used to be. He's receding just like his hairline. And yeah, if there's any of those 4 teams that we can catch, it'll be Liverpool, because then it doesn't look like they're spending big. And I read part of an article that said they're planning to start the season without Van Dijk as their main centre back, and they're still looking for new players. I think they have bought one from Germany, actually. But yeah, I think if any of them, Liverpool, but it's not going to happen, Karl.
It is. But Nick, who would you, Nick? So out of those 4 teams, if we was to replace one, who could you see us replacing?
To be honest, none of them. I don't, it's been nice to say
your game, Karl, are we?
No, I mean, I was talking to my Man United mates who stream on Twitch and that, and we were talking about this the other day before a friendly, and I just said to them, because they said, "Where do you expect Man United to finish?" The same as Arsenal. I said, "Well, whether we like it or not, Man City and Chelsea should be first and second every year. If they're not first or second every year, both managers should be sacked, because the money they spend and the players they've got, that's a minimum requirement for them. You've got United, who still spend big, so they're third. So basically you've got us, Liverpool, Tottenham, Leicester, and whoever else, like all fighting for one place. And that's what it is. I mean, I know we go back and say a few years ago, Chelsea finished 10th and then they didn't have no Europe and then they went and won it the next year. But yeah, didn't they sign Conte and spend 250 million quid? We haven't signed a, world-class manager who's, proven at winning things and spent 250 million quid, have we?
I haven't been taking notice of the transfers, because someone's just said that Liverpool have actually bought somebody. I was going to go and have a look and see who it was. They said it's a player's name who I can't pronounce. Players in. Oh, yeah, it's Ibrahima Conte from RB Leipzig. Didn't Leipzig just sell Upamecano to Bayern Munich as well? But yeah, 36 million. But look at the players Liverpool have lost. They've who is it that actually hasn't got all the transfers out, because Wijnaldum's gone. Oh, there it is. It's highlighted. Yeah, losing Wijnaldum is a massive thing for them, because he's a great player, scores loads of goals. But someone was saying, I was talking to somebody on Twitter this week, and they were saying, I said, Arsenal are done. We're not going to win the Premier League for the next 10, 20 seasons. And he said, in reply, quite rightly, no one knows when Arsenal are next going to win the Premier League. And I said, yeah, correct. But I can tell you when they're not going to win the next Premier League, and that's going to be for at least the next 10 or 20 years, while Man City and Chelsea, and now they've got rid of the alleged failed FFP, while Man City and Chelsea have got unlimited funds for transfers and wages and all that lot. We're never going to win the Premier League. It's impossible for anybody to do it, apart from those two. But Man United are coming in with buying. I mean, they're buying players from Real Madrid. That doesn't usually happen, does it? Buying top players, they usually nick players from the Premier League. We're doomed.
But that's the thing. So they're going all out. I mean, Varane is what, 28, 29?
28.
And so they're going all out for him, because they're thinking that they need to get as close to Man City / Chelsea this season as well. And Man United are always, even when they weren't in the Champions League, Man United always had that pulling power, because they are Manchester United. They have that sort of, the brand Manchester United is good enough to sign any player, well, almost any player there is. So, and Arsenal don't have that. Arsenal don't have a name brand. There's not a named brand player in Arsenal squad right now that you could say, oh yeah, that player is the reason why I want to go to Arsenal. I mean, I know every player that gets signed, they always say, oh, I want to work with Arteta. Half of these players have never really heard. It's like going to it's like when Sancho went to Man United and he's like, oh, I've always wanted to play here. Fuck off, you were playing for Man City just a while ago. Like, don't say that nonsense. Like, they always say about they want to play for the club, but Arsenal don't have a marquee signing. I mean, you could talk of maybe Aubameyang, but he's gone now. Well, he's got what 1 more season, 2 more seasons left.
Saka,
there's not a
people
player.
saying Saka, but is that a big enough draw to come to Arsenal?
I mean,
maybe in a couple
if
of
you
years.
if you was like a top, I don't know, German, Italian, Spanish player, do you really think that player is going to be? Oh yeah, do you know what? I've always, Saka. That's the player I want to play with. Let's be honest, we love Saka because he's one of ours and he is blatantly. But is he someone that you would say, Saka, go and top up X player because we wanted to come to Arsenal? There's not. We don't have that. Thierry Henry star player to say, come and play with Henry, come and play with Vieira, come and play with Mesut Ozil, come and play with, those sort of players. We don't have that. The manager, yes, Arteta has a lot of respect, I think, within a player circle, but, is he really the player to draw like big name brand players? Only time will tell, I guess, but
how about this
personally, go on.
Oh, how about this for a question? Someone further up was saying, how long do you give Arteta if things don't start working right away? Was it Matt Roberts? If we're not doing well by Christmas, I think Mikel and his hair will be on the block. What do you think, Nick?
100%.
Yeah, I did. I said even earlier than that. I said in the League Cup, and I realised that started in September, so maybe that'd be a bit early. But if he has another start to the season, if we're in the same place we were by December last season, he's got to go. But I mean, I know we're talking about all these players, but we're talking about all these like Hollywood players from abroad we want to buy. We can't do that, and we're past that. I think what this process and trust the process all this is about, he's got to get the young players in and the spine of the team in and settled, and then go for the big, like similar to what Liverpool did, get there to nearly and then spend, either sell a couple of players and then get your Van Dijk, your goalkeeper, your final missing pieces of the jigsaw, and then go for the league. That's the only way we could actually do it. And Liverpool have been really good for about 3 and a bit seasons. Now they're on the decline. That's we're never going to be like a really good side for about 5-10 years on the trot, are we?
Look at this. And Loki's put next week, and then Loki's changed it to 10:30 tonight. And I has put, I'll stick what I said earlier, 5 games before meltdown. Because Karl,
5.
look at the list we've got this season. If we start off with everything's in black and white on my screen. Oh, here we go. Brentford away. I think we've got that one. Good start to the season. Then we've got Chelsea at home and Man City away. So the meltdown's going to start after 3 games.
Danny, the meltdown's going to start before the season starts.
All
we
right.
literally have, because our pre-season friendlies are Chelsea and Tottenham. If we don't win those 2 games, the meltdown has started then. Like, oh my God, we can't beat Chelsea or Tottenham in the pre-season.
How are we going to been Chelsea and Spurs for that? I didn't know we were playing Spurs. I thought it was someone else.
Yeah, we're playing Chelsea and Spurs.
I knew it was Chelsea.
Friendly. So if we can't beat them in a pre-season friendly, then the meltdown will start then. Trust me, Danny. But I hear what you're saying. Like
look at that. David's put, I would have jettisoned Lego Head last November.
But we haven't got the best start to the league, have we? I mean, we got Brentford. We have to beat Brentford on that Friday night, first game of the season, aren't we? And let's face it, Brentford are going to be up for it. Their very first game, like they're going to be definitely up for it completely. So we definitely have to. We have to try and win that game. Then, I think the more level-headed fans will know that we're not going to beat Man City. Let's face it, it's not going to happen.
We don't have any. We don't have any level-head fans. That's part of the qualification for being a Gooner.
Yes, we did a double over Chelsea last season, but I think if it would be funny is that if we don't beat Chelsea, people were saying, see, we've gone backwards, we've regressed. Like, we beat Chelsea twice last season and now we haven't beat them. You're like, oh, for God's sake. Like,
The meltdown will start when Kolasinac and Xhaka start the first game.
And Xhaka gets sent off as well. After
And he
giving away
tells the
2
manager to go
penalties.
fuck himself on the way out. And he takes he takes Gunnosaurus as hostage in a half-time coup.
Oh God, it's gonna be this season. If anything, is gonna be fun to watch the meltdown. Maybe not fun for the results because, for me, it's gonna be every loss is gonna be expedited, and it's gonna be every loss is gonna be one step closer to Arteta getting fired. I think
it's a good job no one's filming it, Karl?
Yeah, it's not like it's not like we're gonna have cameras all over the place for a big season finale. Fucking hell, who thought that was a good idea? I have no idea.
Probably
seriously, probably But if any season that was gonna happen, not this season whatsoever. But like I said, I'll be honest with you. We've got one game a week, practically. We've got one game a week. We should be able to keep our players fit. Yes, and injuries happen in games and in training. I understand that, but we don't have to fly outside of this country at all this season. We can take short-haul, very short flights and train rides every single way. Our players should have no reason to be tired. Like I said, it's one game a week. Maybe when we have cup games, 2 games a week. We do have to go balls out for both cup competitions, both FA Cup and also the League Cup. None of this playing the kids. Sorry, this season, the kids don't get a look in. You have to play the first team in every single game. Even if you're playing flipping Coventry at home, like play the first team, give them a run out, because not every player is going to get a lot of first team games. We're just not. If we're playing one game a week, you're kind of hoping that, I don't know, Thomas Partey will play at least 30 of the 38 games in the league. You're hoping that Aubameyang plays most of the games. Maybe Lacazette plays most of the games. Obviously, injuries come along with that. And I don't want to hear nothing about, we're resting players. Resting players for what? There's literally no reason to rest the players because, again, we are playing one game a week. But like Matt Roberts says, if we don't laugh, we will cry. It's a joke. But yeah, Nick, I'm going to wrap this up.
I've got one final question. Start with Nick, answer it, then you, Karl. 4 pre-season friendlies. Aubameyang has started 3 and come on as sub in the other one, and so far done virtually nothing in all of those games. Are you worried?
Well, I was more worried earlier when you said he scored a overhead free kick, and you went, "Nope, that wasn't it." So
no, what I meant is, I think he tried an overhead, and then Chambers put it in out of shot, and I think that's when Smith Rowe ran into the post. So I started to say something and went, "No, wrong goal." But yeah. I know pre-season friendlies mean nothing. We don't get points for it, but you'd imagine against that opposition, Rangers, Hibs, Millwall, and Watford, that if he's played 3.5 games, have started 3 and came on once, you're not worried?
I was worried because he's been a bit average since he signed his new contract, but he has had a lot. Like, what did he have? Malaria and stuff like that, which apparently could make you a bit tired, I'm assuming. But I've never had malaria. But yeah, I mean, maybe he'll get better when the fans come back. 'Cause he does seem to be, I won't say a confidence player, like a momentum player. You know, once he scores a couple, and then next week he score another couple, it'd be away. But we'll just have to see, won't we? Because obviously, what's he, 31, 32 coming up this year?
I think he's 31.
31, yeah. So like I said, he's not going to get any better than the 2-3 seasons he's had with us. He's not going to.
No, he was 32 in June.
Oh dear. Yeah, so like I said, oh
that's the highlight of the show. Oh dear. Sums it up.
Well, he's 4 years younger than me, so I'm still at my peak of physical condition.
He's 18 years younger than me.
I'm worried. I am, because he didn't have a very good season, and you're hoping that he'd kick on straight away. Yes, I understand what you can say pre-season, but these are the times that you need to prove yourself, if he hasn't put the ball in the back of the net at all yet, then I'm not saying I'm worried, but he's got to do better. He has to do better, unfortunately.
It's not like we're picking on him, Karl, because I thought when I've watched the Rangers and the Hibs games, I thought Lacazette was brilliant. He's got 2 goals. Doesn't matter how many goals you score, it's your performance. Lacazette looked really up for it. Most of the team are looking really up. The only players I feel a little bit let down by was Bellerin, who looked shit, and Aubameyang, who looked not bothered.
Yeah, I think. See, I'm not saying I put importance on friendlies, but we have to show a performance. And Aubameyang's just not doing it at the moment. Now, I don't think there's any danger at all of us getting rid of Lacazette. Aubameyang. There's no way we are ever going to get rid of him. It's not going to happen. But unfortunately, come the first game of the season against Brentford, Aubameyang will be starting that game. You can guarantee that. He definitely will be starting that game. Whether it be on the left or be up front, he will be starting that game. He needs to kick on. He needs to do better. He does. I think that we need to put the ball in the back of the net. I think that was one of our biggest faux pas last season, that we just did not put the ball in the back of the net. How many times were we 1-0 up? We needed a second goal and we just didn't get it. Or 2-0 up and we needed a third goal. It just never happened. And the other team would come back and score. And we'd create loads and loads of chances.
I've got something to cheer you up, Karl.
I do think it needs to be better. But go ahead, cheer me up, Daniel.
If you look at the screen, I've changed my avatar. It's me in the bath with a unicorn covering my bits and nipples covered up.
For fuck's sake, that's something I really didn't need to see. But
I've spent ages doing that unicorn.
I'm sure you did, Danny. I'm sure you
could have been worse. It could have been Saka on the unicorn.
Right, I've got to go. I've got stuff to do.
Yes. So, one question before we go, and then that is it. Nick, where are Arsenal going to finish next season? Right now, with the squad we have right this moment, where are Arsenal going to finish?
We're going to finish first.
Nick's on that gin and juice again, I can tell. Okay. Daniel, where are Arsenal going to finish this season? Don't say 20th.
Hold on. Villa, Chelsea, Everton, Leeds, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and probably West Ham. 8th or 9th?
Wow.
Oh, here you go. Loki's put 9th as well. Come on, everyone. Oh, Noza. That person. I called Noza a she. I don't know why. I was led to believe that this was, but now Noza is just formerly Noza, formerly human. Doesn't even have a being anymore.
Noza says 8th. Mike Mosley says 7th. Loki says 9th.
I was waffling.
Long
you talked
Bergkamp
over me.
Says 9th.
Very good.
Because you checked it. Yeah. I'm going to say, I'm going to go bold and say 6. I'm going to say 6. I just think that one game a week has got to be an advantage to us. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. No European football. We're playing 3 o'clock on a Saturday, unless we're playing teams in Europe, which is actually going to be brilliant for us.
Avon says 4th.
God, Avon.
Everyone is saying 6th, well. Somewhere between 6th and 10th.
Well, we're definitely not going to be. I think top 4 is a hell of an ask, and I just don't see us getting top 4. 5th, because you've also got to count either us, that lot up the road, or Leicester. They're going to be in and around that sort of region.
Ooh, look, the fans have turned on you, Karl. The listeners, the Arsenal fans have turned on you. Loki says Karl is deluded.
Why am I deluded? What, to think that we're going to finish 6? I think that we've got a chance. I'm going full Chris Carpenter right now. Like, I'm having faith. Whether that faith goes when Brentford beat us 1-0. Maybe my faith will have definitely gone then, but I think that we have to. I think that, 6 is... We can't finish 8th again. We cannot finish 8th again. Finishing 8th was ridiculous
It's not
last
a trophy,
season.
Karl. 8th is not a trophy.
It really isn't, Danny. It absolutely isn't. So we have to be better than we was last season. Surely we can't be any worse, can we?
But
We can't be any worse than we was last season.
To do that, you've got to have better players than we did last season, and we haven't got any better players than we had last season. And the players we had last season, a couple of them are going to get better, the younger ones, and a couple of them are going to be dragging their heels. Fat Willian, he's going to be dragging his heels.
Remember, we only missed out by 1 point, finishing above that lot up the road,
Karl,
and that was one of our worst seasons. One of our
Karl,
worst seasons, and we finished. Yeah.
Read that.
What am I reading, Daniel?
On the thing on the screen from Avon Teddington.
Don't bring the pirate into his worse. Do you know what? I'm so glad that someone has said that, because even in the Olympics, France have been shit as well, and Chris has been really quiet. I haven't heard anything at all. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to start some trouble in the group later on. I think I'm just going to drop a bomb and say, "How France doing in the Olympics, Chris?" And then watch him. I might do it on Twitter. Just to
And then
start
double it up. Then double it up and ask Josh and Ellis if is it still coming home.
But for me,
is that why he changed his Twitter name because of France?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, he's fucking hilarious. He is. I love Chris, I do. But yeah, we can't be any worse than we was last season. We can't be. So that's why I'm having faith. And 1 point behind that lot up the road, and it was only 1 point. So that lot will be flying to God knows where in Europe, doing God knows what. And if Harry Kane does go to Man City, they're not going to get a replacement better than Harry Kane in that squad. Even if they do get 100 and odd million for Harry Kane, there's no way they're going to.
Arteta wore the number 8, and he finished 8th twice. Hey, I believe. We can't finish 88th, can we? Or maybe we can finish 88th in the league pyramid.
So by that standard, the new Tottenham manager was a goalkeeper and he won number 1. So does that mean that we're going to finish first? Anyway, we'll wrap this up now. It was really good doing this impromptu show. We might do another one probably when we sign someone of significance. Like if we do announce a major player, like if we do sign Ben White, we'll probably get Josh on and we'll do a quick 20 minutes on Ben White and what he can bring to the Arsenal squad and who we expect to bring in. If we sign a French player, then obviously we'll get Chris on because Chris knows everything about France, but unfortunately, no one in France knows anything about football.
Avon's made it even worse. He said 8 is no one's got the number 8 at Arsenal, have they? An Arteta comeback, player manager. Let's get it on.
God, Nick, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. Much appreciated.
Well, that's good. I always love coming on and speaking to you guys, especially you, Karl. You're my favourite.
That's my
fucking right. Shame I'm not Danny's favourite because Danny doesn't like me. I don't know why.
You're grumpy.
It's because I'm tall. It's because when I met him, I stood 10 feet over him and he got intimidated.
Squeezed me.
I fucking did. That's right. Yes. Daniel, you have to be here, so I'm not going to thank you. I'm just going to say, it's lovely speaking. You haven't spoken to me for ages. Fuck you, Daniel. I don't like you anymore because I don't know why. I'm just going to blame.
What do you want me to do? Send you a daily update on what I've eaten.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, but no, we won't.
Well,
but we'll probably do another.
Finger out, we could all meet up. Like the people from the Goonosphere podcast stopped years ago, and James and Jock are in one of the group, and they put in a picture of James, Jock, Daniel, Simi Javel, and Green Banton. Their podcast finished years ago, and all 5 of them could be bothered to meet up. When was the last time any of you lot all agreed to meet up anywhere? Never. That's why you all come round mine for the summer.
Did you invite me?
No, just no. Every other year I've asked, no one ever fucking turned up. It's just me sat there with some cold hot dogs, weeping into me shandy.
When he says cold hot dogs, people, that's a euphemism, by the way. I just want to put that out there. And on that note, once again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening into this impromptu podcast. Up the Arsenal, we are going to finish, well, according to Nikki, we're going to finish first. According to me, 6th, and Danny, would you even say where we're going to finish? You didn't. You said 8th, didn't you? Oh, 8th.
I love consistency.
It definitely is key, isn't it? On that note, press the button, Danny. Oh yeah, by the way, for the first time this season, #fuck Alice.